Here.
Hey!
Hello, good morning.
It's Josh and Lisa Canning here from Persevere Together, and we have a passion for supporting couples who have the unique cross that is mental illness in their marriage. And we come on here live every Friday at 11 a.m. East-ish. We're a little past 11 a.m. East, but 11 a.m. you can typically find us right here, and you can also find us in our locals community. I always forget the URL for
That
locals.
is at perseveretogether.locals.com.
On today's episode, we want to talk about the importance of exercise when it comes to managing mental illness. I'm going to be real honest with you. This is not my favorite topic.
Oh, no.
You want to know why it's not my favorite
Why
topic?
is that?
I am a one-streak wonder. I'm going to exercise every day this week.
Mm-hmm.
And then one day.
Yeah.
I really struggle with this area. But first, Josh, why is this topic important? Why do we need to care about this topic?
So I think probably you've heard about this, that our physical health has a significant impact on our mental health, but I still think it's probably not understood or appreciated to the greatest degree that it could be. I'm a little bit passionate about this because my background is in kinesiology and health science, so I used to read about this kind of stuff all the time. But in 2011, 2012, when I was experiencing clinical depression, I did not realize at the time how much my circumstances or my feelings and moods could be improved through exercise. What happened at the time, you probably know our story somewhat, but I was basically diagnosed with depression. A few years into our marriage, we were expecting our third child. And at the time I got counseling and ended up being, basically prescribed time off work, not medication at the time. And one of the resolutions I made during that time was to start working out again. I had become quite sedentary. It was the winter in Toronto, Canada. And I simply wasn't moving my body. And I didn't feel strong or confident in that area. And so one of my few resolutions with that new time I had being off work was to start sweating every day. So I got a treadmill and some dumbbells. And that was one of my three main appointments.
Did we buy that treadmill on payments or something? How could we have afforded a treadmill?
It was a display model.
Or did we just buy it?
I can't recall, to be honest, but I remember it was a display model, and so we saved a little bit. And I can't remember if I bought it at once and we splurged or we made it on payments. But point is, that was an area that I started to invest in. And at first it was hard and it was a slog, but it paid, I think, real dividends. And some of the reasons why, and I'm going to link an article about the importance of exercise on our mental health. But one of the reasons is simply the hormonal changes that happen in your body, the increase in serotonin and dopamine and endorphins, those things that you can be very depleted in when you're feeling quite low and you're not moving, as well as the reduction of things that are negative hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. Those things are essentially expressed or used up during a good bout of exercise. And the other things, which we sometimes use medication to increase, like serotonin, that's naturally increased through exercise. So it's really important, whether you're experiencing mental illness or not. These are things that have a big impact on our moods and making us feel better. So you should do it more than once a week. Don't you think?
I think my biggest challenge is motivation. So I'm thinking on this past week, I worked out because you made me.
I encouraged you.
No, you made it, but you also made it possible to. You were like, I've got the baby, I've got this, you go. And so I was able to go.
And probably part of it too, and this was a later point, but because I had worked out earlier in the day, I was encouraging you to, because I was touching the benefits in myself and the way that I was feeling good, and seeing you working hard and just thinking, you should get a good sweat going later. You deserve it.
Yes, I do.
Well, another reason why it helps you, and again, a lot of these things, so like mental illness, and health in general, there's often a whole bunch of different factors at play. So one of the factors, obviously, when you're experiencing depression is your thoughts. It could be traumas that you've experienced. It can also be, to be honest, things like lifestyle problems like sleep, nutrition, hydration. Many of these things I think it's often more than one thing at once that's happening. And conversely, when we exercise, multiple things are happening that are going to have an impact on your mental health. Doesn't mean that you can completely guard against ever experience mental illness. There are, Olympic athletes and professional athletes who experience mental illness. But there are reasons why exercise can make you more resilient against it. And another reason is it reduces inflammation. Now, inflammation doesn't guarantee depression, but if you take two groups of the population, the inflamed group is going to have more incidence of depression than the
Oh my gosh.
non-inflamed group.
Tell me more about that. Why?
Yeah. Well, I can't tell you exactly why, because we don't know why. I was reading this in a book by Dr. Chris Palmer, and they noted the correlation. Now, it doesn't mean that if you're there were also depressed people in the non-inflamed group, so it's not something that's completely understood, but the correlation is very observable.
Well, it's interesting because I'm currently I've self sort of selected to cut out gluten from my diet, because in the past when I've cut gluten, I have lost a lot of weight.
Mm-hmm.
And so and it has to do with inflation. Mm-hmm. This is what I've been told. So
mm-hmm. Yeah, so absolutely. So I don't know all the reasons for that, but when you work out more, you reduce inflammation. You increase inflammation in an acute sense, because our muscles are now damaged in a micro way, and so there is inflammation that then has to be repaired. But it actually is one of those things where the longer term thing way overweighs the short term. So yeah, I feel sore and I'm a little bit inflamed after workout, but now I'm more resilient about getting inflamed in the longer term. So it's a really good thing to keep going. Another reason is, and this one is really, really key, is exercise, good exercise, lifting heavy things, getting a good sweat helps you sleep better. And sleep and mental illness is very related.
Yeah, that I can attest. It feels so much better. Like, sleep is so nice after you've worked out.
You sleep deeper. You probably fall asleep easier. You probably sleep longer, and the quality of your sleep is better. So,
I'm feeling motivated already to work out.
Well, we're gonna get a sweat later, I think. We should go live from our workout session.
You can go watch that in our local community.
But yes, better sleep is a key thing, and this is one way of getting there. I also think, you probably don't realize it, but when you do exercise, you actually drink more water. And so if we're becoming a bit dehydrated during the day, we've had like the third, fourth, fifth coffee during our workday, we might not realize that we're dehydrated. When we work out, you realize very much you kind of want to keep drinking water, and that probably leaves you hydrated afterwards as well, which is another component of good sleep. So it all kind of is related. There was a study, and it's going to be in the article that I link below this video, which looked at populations of mice. And one of the things they wanted to see is, could they replicate certain things in mice that we might experience in depressed populations? So what they did is they wanted the mice to experience social failure, or I think they called it social defeat. I'd have to check. But basically,
so in mice,
yeah. So basically what they did is they took bully mice and smaller kind of like bullied mice, and they had them separated. And what they found was that the bigger mice would be aggressive, and then when they would remove the partition, they would basically kind of be physically like attacking the smaller mice, and they'd have to remove them. But they basically allowed mice to be bullied. And what they saw in some of the bullied mice, actually all of them under this first thing, but I'm going to explain it. They saw that the bullied mice would eventually become less adventurous. They would stop exploring the environment they were in. They would keep more to the shadows. They became less active, and they began to exhibit signs of depression and anxiety. There was another group so that first group, they had been in a essentially Spartan cage beforehand. So they didn't have a lot of exercise or anything. And then they were put in a situation they were bullied. The second group of these smaller mice, they actually put them in a high exercise environment where they could run on wheels and explore and do all kinds of things. And then they put them in this group with the bully mice.
Okay, let me think. Can I get the punchline?
Yeah.
They did much better.
They did much better. They were bullied, but they didn't exhibit the symptoms of depression. So they were more resilient. And one of the conclusions that was drawn was essentially the exercise and perhaps the agency, and who knows, the environment or whatever, but they were more resilient against depression than these mice that didn't have.
And I think that's the key point to take away here. It's like, let's do the things that will make you more resilient. And it's like, why not? And again, you don't have to have a diagnosed mental illness to, be convinced, I guess, of the importance of exercise.
Sure.
Like,
yeah.
It will help you be more resilient to, what's that expression I always get you to quote?
Which?
It's like, read my brain.
Let us not pray for lighter burdens, but for stronger backs, that type of a thing?
No, vicissitudes.
Oh, just it was a quote by St. Josemaria, and it was about how our children should see us. There's many vicissitudes in our life. There's times where things are easier or harder, and they should see us essentially engage these things with
A cheerful spirit, something like that.
with
Sporting
good
spirit.
humor and a sporting spirit. They should see
Good
us
humor and a sporting spirit.
in the face of life's challenges. That's what we
And
want
I
them to see in
think
us.
you can do that better when you've done things like slept well and exercise, like
Yeah.
the mice. It's
Yeah.
like there's something, and maybe it would be worth. I'm curious. Let us know in the comments. Do you have a favorite like expert that we could have on that talks a lot about the correlation between exercise and what that does to make one more resilient?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
let us know.
And one of the reasons why I think that study is really interesting with the mice is I can think about when I was experiencing that clinical depression, I was feeling defeated a lot of the time. It was funny because I would go to work and I was working a job that I found valuable, but there was a lot of challenges in terms of alignment with my boss, and there was a lot of frustrations. I was very consumed with thoughts that I couldn't win with the task that I've been given. So I would go and I would, basically be gone 10 hours of the day. In Canada, it's very dark in the winter. So I'd leave in dark, come home in dark. And I would just be thinking like, can't win. And I imagine if I were to go back and counsel myself at that time, I would have said, why don't you stay out 10 and a half hours of the day, because you're going to hit the gym on the way home and you're going to win at that before you go home, so that you don't just now go home with the continuing ruminating thoughts of what's not working at work. You're actually going to come home thinking, I put in a pretty good sweat, I exhausted my body.
I won at sweating.
Exactly. We want to see ourselves winning, right?
I think you have time for one more if you're going to make it to daily mass.
Okay. Yeah. It's First Friday. We got to get to mass. But okay. So the last point would be just your confidence. So you might feel like, again, on that point, I'm not rocking it at work, and maybe you are, maybe you're being too hard on yourself, but it feels good when you know that you have good posture, that you're not experiencing muscle loss, that you have a certain kind of skip in your step because you've invested in yourself. I used to think that it's weird because, again, background kinesiology, but I used to think there was something vain about that compared with like the spiritual strivings. But no, it's actually really important because we are integrated human beings, and it's good for us to see ourselves healthy and making progress in that area of our life. And yes, our thoughts are reason and whatnot, but our brain is a biological entity. So when we work out, feel good, feel confident, it's all connected and it's all part of mental health. So I think
I'm feeling more motivated already.
I'm glad you are. So in terms of tips, I'd like to end on a tip here. So tip would be, if you're in a bit of a rut, find something that you can feel good about, like a kind of exercise that you feel good doing and then you can keep doing. So when I was experiencing that, I didn't want to go to the gym, to be honest. I felt low and I didn't really want to be around people. I didn't want to be waiting in line for a bench or a treadmill or whatever. Like I just wanted a space where I could work out, and I knew that there was no excuses to not do it. So maybe that's investing in something at home. Maybe you want to start running in your neighborhood or the trails or whatever, but find something that's going to work for you and is going to make you feel good. It doesn't mean you're great at it to start. It might feel humbling the first few weeks because I used to be in better shape, but find something that you feel you can stick with and do that. And then the last thing I'll just leave is, as we kind of hit it earlier, if you're supporting someone who's got mental illness or regardless, encourage them. Try to make space for them to do that.
I could probably
let
do
them
a
know.
better job of
Yeah,
that.
but let them know they're not letting you and the kids down by taking some time to invest in themselves. Encourage them to work out and celebrate them when they do.
I probably should not influence you with my lazy habits. Like,
right. Yes. It's contagious one way or the other. So let's be contagious in taking a lead and encouraging each other to.
We should do like a challenge in the Persevere Together community.
I like that.
I don't know, like 15 minutes a day of like
That's
heavy,
not enough.
Okay.
No, if you're doing 15 minutes is a big improvement, but 50 minutes is a good warm up, I think. And then, it doesn't, again, it do what's going to work for you. Stretching can be a big improvement. Body weight squats, jumping jacks, these things can all be a step in the right direction. Do something that's going to work for you, challenge yourself, and feel good.
We hope this content was helpful. Let us know in the comments if this was helpful. What new exercise routine might you be employing as a result of listening to this and getting curious about how you can get more physical fitness in your life.
And one really nice thing you can do for us, if you like, we're just under 100 subscribers on YouTube. Be number 99, be number 100, get us over that hump, and we'll see you again next time.